this month to present the Missouri Bicentennial Quilt Project and block number 1. This block is the Missouri Star, and we have the patterns available starting February 1 in all of the branches. Go to any branch and you can pick it up. If you're watching this after March 1st, this block will no longer be in the branches, so we'll want to have you get online and download it.
Cindy and I have been percolating this project for almost a year now, right?
Right.
And people think we're crazy, but we thought it sounded fun because the Missouri Bicentennial is in 2021, August. So we thought we'd give you guys a little time to get a project done by then. So this year, every month, starting in February, we're going to offer you a block, and we'll finish up with our blocks next January. And then it gives you 8 months to get your projects done, so we can have them in our super duper Bicentennial Quilt Show in August of 2021.
I'm going to talk a little bit about your fabric choices. This one is my second block because I'm making one for me and I'm making one for my mom. So I went over and I got 1.5 yards of a background fabric and a main fabric. That's approximately how much you're going to need to make all 12 of the blocks. I also got 1/2 yard of 2 accent fabrics, and then I got 1/4 yard of a few others. I may not need them all, but I thought they all went well together, and I'll decide as I go along. You do not need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 accent colors, but just know that you want at least 1, probably 2 for anything that we do. You might even need a 3rd one. You can always go back and get a fat quarter if you find that you need 5 pieces of fabric for one of the blocks.
All right, my first part of this block, for today's block, I just cut these out, and these are my 4.5-inch squares, so you need 2 from your main fabric and 2 from your accent fabric. And these are my 4-inch squares, 2 from my main fabric and 2 from my accent fabric. And then all my background stuff, which I'm not going to use today on my part. But I just wanted to show you that this is the finished block in fabric. And this centerpiece right here is actually made up of 4 half-square triangles sewn together. So it's hard to kind of see in the picture that that is so, but it's this part right here, which is what I'm going to be showing you. Okay. So the middle part of the Missouri Star block is the center, and it's made of 4 half-square triangles, and I'm going to show you how to make those. And then Cindy's going to show you super duper dazzly way to make the rest of it. So for the center pieces, you need to grab 1 of your main fabrics and 1 accent piece
In
in the 4-inch size. These are the 4s and these are the 4.5. So you put them right sides together, just like this. And you're going to be doing it twice, actually, because by doing it twice, when all is said and done, you will have 4 pieces. It's kind of snazzy how that works. Okay. On the light side of your square, you pick the lightest of the 2. You will draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. You use a pencil or a chalk marker or whatever works for you, because you're not going to be seeing it and you're not going to be using it. So you just kind of draw a line from here to here, and that is kind of what starts the whole process of the half-square triangle. So then you take it to your sewing machine and you sew a line of stitching 1/4 inch away from both sides of the line, just like that. So Cindy has one here. So here's one done. So you have your drawn line right here, and then she sewed very well on either side of the drawn line. And it might be a good point to mention that with quilting, 1/4 inch is always the size you want. It's your seam size. All quilt math is based on that. So if you're kind of shaky on that, make sure you can do a good 1/4 inch before you start rolling on your block. So practice it a bit, and make sure you know where it is, the mark is on your machine, because 1/4 inch is what it's all about. So on this one, 1/4 inch from either side. So once you do that on both of them, then she's done both here. Then once they're done, you take your rotary cutter or a pair of scissors, it doesn't matter, and you just cut on your drawn line. Don't cut your stitching, that's bad. Cut on your drawn line here, And then when you separate them, voila, you open them up and you have 4 of these pieces, because each set of 2 makes 2. So you just need to do it twice for the center. So 1, 2 equals all 4. But there is
So we have cut this on the line. And then I press them, and I always press it with the dark fabric on the top, so when I fold it back, it's not going to show through the light paper, through the light fabric. So you do that, and I'm actually going to switch to the bigger size. You're going to do the very same thing for these points. These are the 4.5-inch pieces of fabric. Now I've already cut my 4.5-inch squares in half. So I'm going to put it on here and fold it back. So you're going to make 4 for the center out of the 4-inch blocks, and you're going to make 4 for the corners out of your 4.5-inch block. And the reason it's the same, even though there's more points, is because it has an extra step. So after you've done your ironing, you take a square or a ruler that has a 45-inch line, a 45-degree line. And you're going to line that up on your sewing line. 45 degrees, right there. And you want to make sure it follows all the way along. And when we're finished with this one, when we're finished with the little ones, they're going to need to be 3.5 inches. But for the bigger piece, we need it to be 4 inches when it's finished. So I'm lining it up on there. I brought it all the way down to the point, and I'm going to trim this away. So you can see it's just barely any fabric, but we need to get it off. If you don't get it off, you're going to distort the size of your block. And I've done that and had to unpick, and don't do that. This is easier. This time I'm lining it up on that 4-inch mark and the center, so I know that it's going to come out the right size when we're finished. Trim off this little bit of extra. This seems like small and this seems like small, but when you put the 2 of them together, you're at least a 1/8 of an inch off, and that's going to throw everything off. There. 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches along the center line, and we've got that little bit to trim off. And now it is exactly 4 inches. When we are finished with all of them, doing it like that, we're going to get the 4-inch background squares. And here's where the tricky part is. So this line needs to be opposite this line in order to make these star points. Put it the opposite direction from this and line it right up. And then you're doing exactly what you've done with the other half square triangles. It's going to be exactly the same. So you line it up, you sew on both sides, you cut it in half, and you square it up again. You want to square up everything because each piece needs to be 3.5 inches to make this block. We cut it and sew it back, it's going to look just like this. And there's your point. Okay? And then line them all up and sew them together, the rows and the columns. When you're finished with it, you make sure that it measures 12.5 inches. Every block should be 12.5 inches when you finish the initial block. When we sew them together, they'll end up being 12 inches.
So what you can see that once you get your middle together, you got your 4 corners in here, and then you do your fancy stuff and make your points, and they all fit in here. Then like Cindy said, you just kind of sew the rows together, row by row, then you sew rows to each other, and your block will look fabulous. We have confidence in what's coming up. So this is the block for February. So on March 1st, we will have another block ready for you. It's almost done as far as the pattern and everything. I believe it's going to be the Missouri Bluebird. So you might need some blues there. So dig some blues out that might match your color scheme and have a few blues. And it doesn't have to be all blue. It doesn't have to be blue. It's your bird. You can do whatever you want. And on that note, I'd like to share something with you. On the Missouri quilt, on the Missouri project, it was our intent that you make this your Missouri quilt. So if there's a block that we offer to you that maybe doesn't fit what you want in your quilt or whatever, we would like to encourage you to kind of make it your own. So, for example, a lot of the library customers down in Augusta have German heritage down there, and it would be nice if maybe they substituted a block and put something in there to represent their German heritage. In my case, I moved to Missouri in 1989 with my husband. We went to Fort Leonard Wood, and my first impression of Missouri was the Vendabate machine that was outside the little Quickie Mart in St. Robert, Missouri, and I was horrified, actually. So I might do a Vendabate block, and this is my work in progress. I'm not done yet, but my block, I'm going to have a Vendabate block in my quilt because that was humorous to me.
Tell them what a Vendabate is.
Oh, Vendabate. It is where you can put in $1 or $2 and get worms or whatever to go fishing. I'm not a fishing person, so I was absolutely horrified that he was moving me to a place that had a Vendabate machine because I had no idea what that really meant. So here's my work in progress of my Vendabate machine, and each little square here, if I can find a little piece of fabric of caterpillars, worms, it's going to be in there. So I'm hoping to put this in my quilt either as an additional block and make my quilt a little bigger, or maybe there's a block that I might substitute out. But I find that this is amusing to me, and it shows the date that we moved here. So this is my Missouri quilt because I'm not a Missouri native, and I'm a transplant. So the Missouri quilt should be something that's fun for you. So take our black blocks as a starting point, use them, or if you want to add some, make yours bigger, it's great. Or let me add this: if you're not a full-on quilt person and you're thinking this is a very ambitious project for you, why don't you make 3 blocks and make a nice table runner to celebrate the bicentennial, or a pillow? You can do it. You can do something. So we just thought it'd be fun to offer this to all you sewers out there that we know you're out there. So it was a fun way to celebrate our state's bicentennial, and it was our crazy idea. It's kind of fun to see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
If you pick up an information sheet at any of the branches, our work email addresses are on there, and you can contact us at any time if you're kind of going crazy or have a problem. Or there are also 4 dates on there that you can come over to the Spencer Road Library for a sewing day, and one of us will be there. And so if you have trouble with this, we will be glad to help you, and we'd like to offer that to you. So it'll work out for you, I hope.
Right. And like she said, any questions, just give us an email. Now this one is available until March 1st. Starting on March 1st, we'll have the next block, and you can go online and download this or email us and we'll send you one, whichever's easier for you. And
I think that's it.
have fun.
Have fun.